Dear students, in this video I am going to discuss about the unit commitment problem. Unit commitment problem is to determine the number of units of plant for a particular load with an objective of minimum cost of generation. That means unit commitment problem is the selection of number of units for optimal operation. Generally, this unit commitment problem is of importance in thermal plants. So, while solving this unit commitment problem, certain constraints have to be taken into consideration. One is spinning reserve, then thermal constraints in terms of minimum uptime and minimum downtime. So these constraints, thermal constraints are also called as reliability considerations also. So then third one is startup cost and minimum and maximum generation capacity. So what is called is spinning reserve. So under normal operation or under actual operation, suppose if one or more units fail, then what happens? The generation may not be possible to meet the load requirements. Therefore, to meet this load requirement, what is the other option? A new unit has to be started. But in thermal plant, starting a new unit, it will take certain time, some 3, 4 to 5 hours, sometimes 8 to 10 hours also. Therefore, the load cannot be met for this long period of time. Then always in the power balance equation has to be satisfied, correct or not? Generation should be equal to demand plus losses. If this equation is satisfied, not satisfied, then frequency will not be within the tolerable limits. Therefore, to meet all these contingencies, the capacity of units online must have a definite margin over the load requirements at all times. This margin is called as the spinning reserve. So that means certain reserve capacity is required in the power system to meet these sudden load requirements. And this reserve capacity, this margin over the load requirement is called as the spinning reserve. And this spinning reserve may not be at each generating station. So in the interconnected power system, it is sufficient that if the spinning reserve may be maintained at one or two units of the generating stations. Then what is the second constraint? It is called thermal constraints. Thermal constraints. A thermal unit during its useful lifetime undergoes alternate periods of operation and repair. Operation and repair. So this is the lifespan of a unit. Alternate periods of operation and repair. So in this regard, we define two important terms. One is minimum uptime. This minimum uptime is called as the mean time to failure. And the other one is mean downtime. It is the mean time to repair. So uptime is what already from the operating period, it is coming to the failure state. That time span is called as the uptime. It is the mean time to failure. Similarly, what is a downtime? So once the unit is failed, if repair is taken, then the unit will come to its normal operating state. So this downtime indicates the mean time to repair. Mean time to repair. So from failure to once repair is taken, it comes to the operating state. So mean uptime is mean time to failure and mean downtime is mean time to repair. Uptime means from operating state to failure state, that time span. Mean downtime means from downtime, that is from repair, from failure to repair. Once repair is done, it comes to its operating state. That is mean downtime. So with these two definitions, we can define the mean cycle time. So what is called mean cycle time? It is the sum of the both uptime and downtime. So mean cycle time is equal to the uptime. So plus downtime. Uptime plus downtime. So which is represented by T bar up plus downtime. So summation of both uptime and downtime. So in this regard, we define one more thing, that is failure rate. Failure rate. So this failure rate is represented by lambda. Lambda is reciprocal of uptime, the mean uptime. So what is this failure rate? It is the number of failures per year. The number of failures for a particular unit over the year. That is called the failure rate. Then repair rate. Repair rate. So this repair rate is represented by mu, and it is reciprocal of the mean downtime. Mean downtime. This repair rate indicates the number of repairs on the unit per year. Per year. Per year. Then the probability of a unit being in uptime. The probability of a unit being in uptime is the uptime by mean cycle time. What is mean cycle time? The summation of both uptime and downtime. So the probability of a unit being in uptime equal to uptime by mean cycle time. So which is equal to mu by mu plus lambda. Mu by mu plus lambda. When you substitute this T bar, the uptime is what is it? 1 by lambda. What is the downtime? It is 1 by mu. When you substitute, you will get mu by mu plus lambda. Similarly, the probability of a unit being in downtime, it is the downtime by mean cycle time. Downtime by mean cycle time. So up plus down, mean cycle time. So what is this value in terms of failure rate and repair rate? Lambda by mu plus lambda, or lambda by lambda plus mu. Obviously, this probability of a unit being in uptime and the probability of a unit being in downtime. So the sum equal to obviously 1. So in this regard, one important function is there, which is called pattern security function. Pattern security function. So this security function is quantitative measure of the security level of the unit. So it is the quantitative estimation of system security. Quantitative estimation of system security. So this pattern security function is represented by S. S. What is this S value? Sigma of Pi into Ri, where Pi equal to the probability of system being in state I. The probability of system being in state I. The probability of system being in state I. So what is this R value? This R means what? It is the probability that the state I, the probability that state I causes breach of system security, causes breach of system security. So that system security level is impaired. What is that probability? So it is represented by Ri. So what is this R value? R value may be 1 or 0. So R value equal to 1 if available capacity is less than load. If available capacity is less than load, then R value will be 1. If available capacity is more than load, then R value is 0. R value is 0. So pattern security function is sigma of PIRI. Sigma of PIRI. So what is significance of this pattern security function? So it estimates the system security level. It estimates the system security level. So this here for optimal security, so or for security of a system, the security function value should always be less than or equal to maximum tolerable insecurity level, that is MTIL, maximum tolerable insecurity level. So this MTIL value will be decided by the utility company. So S value is to be calculated according to the available data. We had to calculate what is security function. So using those definitions, mean uptime, mean downtime, and failure rate and repair rate, and S equal to sigma PIRI. The obtained value should be compared with the MTIL value which is decided by the utility company. When it is less than or equal to MTIL, then system is said to be secured. Otherwise what? System is said to be insecured. So this security consideration comes under this thermal constraints. The third constraint is startup cost. Startup cost. So to start a spare unit in a thermal plant, suppose generation is suddenly increased, then one more unit has to be added. So to start that other unit, spare unit, it involves some cost because so fuel has to be supplied, and again temperature and pressure of the boiler has to be bring to the optimum value, and some operating personnel are required. All these include some cost. That cost is called as the startup cost. So therefore, while solving unit commitment problem, the startup cost has to be considered. And last constraint is minimum and maximum generation capacity. Minimum and maximum generation capacity. So the available generation capacity should always be within these two tolerable limits, minimum value, maximum value. It should not be below the minimum value, and it should not be above the or beyond the maximum value. So while solving the unit commitment problem, all these constraints have to be taken into consideration. So in the next video, I will discuss about what are the methods to solve this unit commitment problem. Okay, that's all.